Good morning, everybody. Getting everything set up. Howdy, howdy. And there we go. That should take care of the sound and keep us from having a... Well, hello, Lisa. How are you today? And Teresa. Excuse me. Hi, Judy. Well, hello, Brandy. Long time no see. Hi, Lori. So, what is everybody doing today? All right, I did a couple of things before we started today. I'm going to hold this up and see if it's readable for you guys. This is the blog that I'm using to get my pineapple block from. Hi, Linda. How are you today? It is generationsquiltpatterns.com, and they have a pineapple quilt pattern. Still pretty blurry. It's generationsquiltpatterns.com. They have a pineapple quilt pattern, and I am using the 8-inch size. Patty, you've been waiting a whole 2 minutes, huh? Now, I printed out their 8-inch block from the website, and it's just a little blue link that says 8-inch on it. But I printed out now 6 of them so far so that I could do this. And the way it works is this is your entire paper piecing pattern. Yeah, and you cut it off a 1/4 inch outside the black lines. So this is what you get that you're going to paper piece on. That's where you got yours from too, Patty? Yay. So you know how to do this. And these are what I've got so far. I put an extra edge around this one. This is the one I showed on the Facebook page a couple days ago. I put some extra pink around the edge because my edges didn't feel secure enough. Figure I'll trim it out whenever I get ready to do the blocks. So that's purple and pink. Still not great quality on that picture, is it? Sorry. And then I've got one that I have partially done. On the second one, I'm making a little better progress for it. Aw, Teresa. And then this one is one I started last night. I'm getting a little faster as I go on these. And my problem with them is that first little section always drives me crazy. Thank you, Kathy. So I thought I'll show you how to do this, but I'm going to show you how to start it because this is what I found that works for me. And I'm going to turn my iron on here, and I'm doing a whole different color. 2 good-sized doggy beds. Thank you. That's good. Okay, so let's see if the camera went where I want it to go. I'm turning it down a little bit so you can hopefully see my mat. Come on. Yeah. And trying to get it so you guys can actually see this. Okay, Polly. Oh, good job, Colleen. Thank you. So what I'm going to do is I'm using most of the fabrics I've used so far have been the ones that came in the So Yeah box this month. But this is some orange that I had in my drawer that I thought, oh, I bet that would look really pretty. And what I'm using for background fabric, some of y'all may recognize this, is 2.5-inch strips from a jelly roll. And they are 2.5-inch strips that were left over from making my triple Irish chain. I thought about making them into binding for the Irish chain, but I was like, yeah, I'll wait, do something different. On that pattern that Colleen just put the link up for, there's this chart. And once you get the hang of doing this, you need this chart. And I'm hoping that mine is dark enough to be readable. And I'm going slow because I'm trying to let the camera focus on this, and it's not going to focus for you. I'll put a picture of it up in the Facebook group for you. The chart on the website is not printable unless you print the entire thing, and I don't want to do that. You're working up to the pineapple in your mind, and now you're just pouting. Okay, so the way this works is it has you put this center section in here, and this is a 2-inch by 2-inch block. What you're going to do is you're going to make sure that it covers the entire center, and the center is actually about at 1.5 by 1.5. You're going to put the fabric on the back. Okay. Now, they suggest using glue to set this fabric down. And yeah, okay. The glue is a pain in the tush as far as I'm concerned, because I don't have my glue stick. I just have my glue bottle out here. So I'm just going to put a pen in here to hold this in place. This is the hardest part of this entire block. So I'm going to show this part. And then the rest of it, once I got the idea, I was like, oh, that makes perfect sense. The instructions tell you to cut everything at 1.25 inch, and then you do varying lengths, if I could say that word today, of your background fabric and your color fabric. I always cut just a hair longer than they tell you to. This is what I was talking about. I cut 4 layers at a time. This says, the chart says cut it at 2.25 inches. I'm going to cut it at 2.5 inches. For me, that works better. Actually, probably cut it a little bit longer than 2.5 inches. And then, and this is where watching Yvette has come in handy. The first couple of rounds, I actually put pins in. And what I'm going to do is, again, I'm applying my fabric to the back side of this. And I'm looking through, and I'm putting my fabric on here, basically at the edge of this. And then I'm going to put a pin in to hold it. Going through printer paper is a little tougher than going through foundation piecing paper, but it's a whole lot cheaper because that foundation piecing paper is $13 for 42 pieces. And then I'm going to hold it up here, and I'm going to make sure that my pink fabric on the edge goes across the first line at least 1/4 inch. And the first line, I had a marker out here so I could mark this for you. There it is. The first lines you're going to sew on are right here. And I'm using a friction pen because it comes off whenever I iron it. So see those 4 red lines? These numbers correspond to those lines. 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is 2, this is 3, this is 4, and this is 5. Now I have found that if I put my fabric on here, I can do 2 and 3 at the same time when I go to sew. And I have that turned wrong. I laid it on 4 and 5 first. I don't care. I'll go ahead and use it that way. I just want to make sure that I'm far enough apart that I'm not going to overlap and sew on the wrong piece of fabric. She also recommends using flathead pins. All of mine are bent and misshapen and not usable for this. I'm not going to worry about it. So I've got my fabric pinned in. Then you're going to turn this over, and I put my pins right on those lines. And you're going to sew along the lines that are 1/4 inch for your fabric, and I'll pull my pins out as I go. But you're going to sew from the paper side, not from the fabric side. Does that make sense? Any questions? You're feeling deja vu? Hey, Joyce. Yeah, I just don't have any Elmer's glue stick out here, Karen. But yeah, that would be the easy way to do this. All right, so let's see if we can get you guys where you can see my sewing machine here. And I'm hoping it's not super loud. We've done some work to try to get that calmed down a bit for you. Your little camera. We're going to go closer to the sewing machine. I'm moving the camera, so if you're like me and you have issues with moving cameras, you want to hold up for a second. Colleen, you can be beaten, you know. Okay, on this red line that we're about to sew, we're going to start 1/4 inch before the line and end 1/4 inch after the line. And it recommends a 1.5 to 1.8 stitch length. And what I normally do, that one came out for me, thank you so much, is I try to remove my pins before I start. And I know that there is the opportunity to fold this paper back, but that first square doesn't seem to work for me on that. The first square is always a pain. I'm not going to sew all of these blocks while we're here. But what I am going to do is show you guys how to get this started because it's a pain. That's a little crooked, but it won't matter because when we go to trim this off, it'll take off that little edge. And so there is my first 2 strips sewn onto my square. Hopefully that's visible to you. I'm trying to use a high contrast color so that you guys can see this. Colleen, you're a troll with a blue wrench. That's a terrible way to talk about yourself. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put the other 2 pieces in here. And I cut these a little wider than they called for because I wanted to make sure that they would go across my seam lines and make sure that they, when I folded them back, that they would cover the area that I need covered. So once again, I'm going to start at a 1/4 inch out and go across, go 1/4 inch past it. Then I'm going to do the other side. Make sure nothing folded over on me. Out of there. This is the center of our block. So we have our first square in there. And it's pretty fall. See, that was pretty quiet. I have oiled the heck out of this machine this week, Teresa. I've oiled it every time I've come near it because I was like, all right, are you having problems? Now, the next section of this, if you can see my cheat sheet here, is supposed to be 1 1/4 by 2 5/8 inch long. I'm going to cut 1 1/2 by 2 7, 2 3/4, 2.75. You need 4 of them. So let's see. How long is that? It is 5 1/4. So 2 and now I know when Yvette Renee paper pieces, she holds everything up to the light so she can see it, all that. What I've found on these is that pinning them in here, at least until you get past the first round or two, works better for me. And I cut them wider so that I have plenty of fabric to cover my little edge. And it's still a tiny piece of fabric. Thank you, Colleen. I appreciate it. And the only thing I really make sure I do is I try to get the center of the fabric lined up with the center of the one I put on before. And if not trimming this first round, I will trim when I go to the next round. So I've pinned my 2 pieces of fabric in here, and you'll see I have pins in it. And the next 2 lines are here and here. They're right across from each other. So I'm going to put my fabric under there. Make sure I don't fold anything. And once again, start at a 1/4 inch before. Super slow so I don't hit that pin. And then I'm going to do the other side. You really need your 1/4 inch foot on here, but you're following that line. So more important than a 1/4 inch to me is an open toe foot. So you can see where the needle is going. And then, as you can see, I have more fabric than I need left, but I'd rather have more than I need than less. Okay, so you see this starting to come together? I always want to make sure I finger press it down as thoroughly as I can here. And then I'm going to turn and put the next 2 on here. And where it's actually going to end up is just above that corner. So I can use that as my kind of guide for where to place my paper or my fabric. I do double check it when I turn it over. But remember, this took me 3 tries to not end up with gaps. So I'm trying to make this as easy as possible for you guys. And I actually ordered the rulers, but I'm thinking that this might actually come out to be easier for me. We'll see, right? So I'm going to put this down here. Nobody tell the quilting police that I'm sewing over pins, okay? I'm not going to go a super long way on this because now that we've got this silly thing started, the next few sections all the way to the edge should be really easy. Except for if you do something like what I just did. My little scissors come in very handy. Anybody gonna sing a Seam Ripper song for me? Seam Ripper, you're my best friend. And I've done a lot of seam ripping while doing this, as you guys will probably relate to. I should have probably pinned it at both ends instead of just at the top or just in the center. I don't even pin it once I get past this round or the next one. And I'm trying not to rip my paper while I'm seam ripping this. The one good thing about seam ripping is that I now have a stitch line that I can follow. So I'll just stitch it from this side since I'm using the same color of top and bottom weight thread. So there's the center of my pineapple block. All my little corners are there. And you're going to do it the same way, basically, the rest of the way around. And here is where trimming comes into play. So when I get ready to do my next line, which is number 6, right out here, I'm going to fold back. I went way past that line. And I'm going to take, you can use an add a quarter ruler. I'm just using my regular ruler and pulling the 1/4 inch mark up there. And then I'm going to trim it here. And that way you don't end up with a whole bunch of bulk underneath all your little edges. And I'm folding back to the next line that I'm going to sew on. So I'm going to fold back to this line here, the dotted line. And then I'm going to trim my 1/4 inch. You can use an add a quarter. It's probably easier, but my goal is to show you guys how to do things without having to have fancy rulers and stuff if we can help it. If I can't find another way to do it without a fancy ruler, then yeah, we'll use a fancy ruler, but I cheat. I'm cheap. All right. And I'm going to trim this one back. And normally, once I get going and have a rhythm, I will trim this back and then put the next piece of fabric in. But that's not what I'm going to do here. That didn't take that little edge off, so let's just help it out here. Now, once you go around and around and do that and get down close to the end, you're going to have something like, we'll do the purple one, like this purple one. The purple one is actually ready to put on its last couple of sections. This is what I was doing before I came live today, guys. Excuse me. The last thing that goes on the purple one here, let me back you up so you can see what I'm doing and see me a little bit. Hello. You're going to need 2 squares for this corner, okay? The pattern calls for 4.5-inch squares. So I'm going to cut 2 4.5-inch squares out of my fabric. As you can see, I have already done this once or twice. And I'm just gonna, they don't have to be exact. They just need to be squares. I need a new blade in my rotary cutter. I cleaned it last week, but that wasn't enough. Purple is your favorite color, Brandy? Well, yeah, I gagged my machine today. Aren't I supposed to? So now that I've got my little squares, I'm just going to take and cut them in half at the center. And this is how you finish up this block. Try to make sure you can still see. You'll take this little triangle shape here at the corner. You'll sew it down and then you'll fold it over. And that'll give you a purple block with purple corners. On the website that I named at the beginning, she points out that you should line this corner of your block, of your triangle piece, up with the center of the block so that you get the most precise piecing. Oh, it needed lots more oil than I thought it did, Vicki. I put lots and lots in it. So if you line that up there on your center and put it on, when you sew them down and turn them over, you get edges like this. And then for me, I went around and put pink edges along the entire edge of this so that I would have sashed blocks. And then I started pulling paper out. The reason I'm not overly fond of the glue that somebody mentioned is because the glue sticks to the fabric here. And it was really tough to get it out. As a matter of fact, I don't have it all out yet. And then I've been taking either my little embroidery scissors here or a pair of tweezers and lifting the paper out. And it's been kind of not fun to do. Vicki, I know where to oil my machine at. I appreciate it though. I just needed to put extra in it. And it probably helps that I'm not going through a bunch of layers. See, and that piece is glued down pretty well, so I'll need to take some water to that probably to get the rest of that paper out. But that's the only downside to using the paper as far as I'm concerned, because I got good blocks. I do have a couple of little areas where things didn't meet up when I did the first one. I figure I'll fix that whenever I quilt the quilt. But I do have gaps in that one, which is why I started cutting my little pieces a whole lot bigger. So, but once I put the purple on here, then I'll go ahead and take another piece of the pink and put around it as a sashing so that I have that. So that is how you start that pineapple block. And that's a free pattern with a free tutorial. She has all kinds of information in there that's helpful to be able to do it. But it still took me 3 tries, even though let's see if you can see me instead of my table again. There we are. Hello. But I like that pattern. Like I said, the only things I don't like about it are that if you want to print, you have to print the entire tutorial. And I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to print that one chart. So this morning, I finally broke down and created my own and wrote it all down. And I wrote all the measurements down for the 8-inch block. I may go back and write all the measurements down for the 6-inch block when I get ready to do it. But I'm not sure I'm going to make 6-inch blocks. I may just only make 8s. And then, of course, once I get my rulers that I ordered on a slow boat from China in, then we'll see how the rulers work. But I figure it should be a little bit easier because I have already done it paper piecing. So. Exactly, Vicki. I do already know how to do it myself. I actually oiled mine the other morning before we went on. I just didn't oil it enough. That was the issue there. So I needed to go back and oil it some more. It needed more oil than I thought it needed. And so, any questions? You're doing a 10-inch block? Yeah. Spell check. Well, Lisa, I mean, I can go further on the block, but the problem I had wasn't once I got out here, the problem was getting that block started and not ending up with gaps there. So let me point this back down. So, I didn't have issues with these out here. Even on the very first one I did, all of my issues were right here. This one wasn't big enough, and I had to actually finagle a little bit more fabric in there. And I got another gap here. So I was like, all right, what am I doing wrong? And what I was doing wrong was I wasn't cutting the fabric wide enough. And I figure if I'm using basically scrap fabric, which is what that is, then why not use a little bit wider fabric? Use a little bit wider fabric to put those in there and then do my trimming. You got to trim it either way. So let's just do it. So, and this one, like I said, I made this one. This was my second one. And then I started on that blue one, and this one went together really easy once I got past the center. Then I did the blue one, and I thought, oh, okay, Colleen. When I did the blue one, it kind of all clicked finally, was that everything just needed to be wider than that pattern called for. So that's why I started putting the slightly wider pieces. And you can do, once you get past the center, you can do all the rest of it basically from the front. Lynn, I put up, as a matter of fact, Colleen posted it in the chat earlier. Maybe she'll post it again for where the free pattern that I found for this pineapple block. You can download and print the pattern for it for free, the paper piecing part here. And then I just walked through how to start it because this center section is the hardest part of the whole thing. And it took me, before the purple block that I finished, the first one, it took me 3 tries to get to a block that I could actually build on. So now that I've done 4 of them, because I just showed how to do it with the orange, now that I've done 4 of them, I'm like, okay, I'm pretty confident that I can show someone else how to do it. So if you download that free pattern and do it this way, it might be helpful to help you start and do a pineapple block. And of course, the big thing is that everybody, what I didn't realize, not everybody, but what I didn't realize was that you put the fabric on the back side of the paper instead of on the side where the lines are. And then you can actually see the lines to sew on them. I'm obviously not smart because I was like, how do you see all those lines while you sew, dude? And now I know. You do it on the back side. Aw, that's awesome. Thank you. Double-sided paper or double-sided tape. You mean like the same stuff that I use for bag making? Like this stuff, Patty? That's got string stuck to it. Because I use this for bag making all the time. Hmm. What is next? Pink. Let's try it and find out. That would be cool if it works. Not that I need double-sided tape for this section, but it's worth a try, right? Ooh, we'll do it on those corners because that might be harder to sew down. It was super confusing for me, Teresa Louise. So I was like, I have to find a way to do this. And just in case anybody wants to know, this is 1/4-inch seam tape. Like I said, I use it for bag making normally when I make purses and stuff. Like any other peelable, it doesn't want to start easily. When I start my next block, I'll definitely try this on that center section. I do have an Elmer's glue stick. It's in the other room, so I hadn't gone and got it. But I know that I can sew this and it won't gum up my needle. I'm not quite far enough out, actually. We'll do it this way. I'll have to do it on the center and then see if it's peelable. She's talking about Scotch tape, Patty. That's interesting. Not double-sided tape like I just used. She's talking about Scotch tape. Well, that's pretty much the same thing. Lynn, how did those foundation papers from the magazine work? Just a little double-sided Scotch tape on the center. Sandra, I think that the tape that I'm using is similar to what they use for scrapbooking, because it's well, for bag makers, we use it to temporarily hold things in place, zippers and that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. See how it's got the little shiny side? That's sticky. And then when you peel the white paper off, it's also sticky on the other side. Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely try that on the next one that I start the center of and see if that works for me. That's interesting. I hadn't thought of that, but I've got it right here. I don't normally keep glue sticks and stuff out here. I do have a bottle of glue out here, but I hadn't worked with that. And now I have pineapple blocks in all stages of starting here. Let's see, what am I doing my next color? Let's see, blue. Where did I set it down at? I'm trying that, Patty, seeing how well that works on my paper here. Once I lay it flat, it's harder for me to get the little paper to start, though. Nothing like a good pair of tweezers. All right, so now that's down there. Think one piece is enough? Yeah, when it is a little small, but that's a 2-inch by 2-inch piece of fabric. You're lucky. It stayed. Awesome. I like that idea way better than I like the glue sitting down there in the middle. When I get ready to peel it, we'll see. See, and your stitching lines are actually all the way over here. So I have plenty of fabric left over after that edge. Yeah, I will definitely let you guys know how that works. And as always, Mr. Lint Roller needs to come visit again because I have lint everywhere. You know who I've just noticed I haven't seen in a few days? Anybody seen James or Lana? I think the last time I saw him was last Friday. Oh, yeah. Wendy is an amazing piecer. Hey, Brenda. I'm doing pineapple blocks. What are you doing? Wendy's fast and prolific. Every time she posts, she's posting another something that she's done that just looks incredible. I keep wanting her to make a YouTube channel and show us all how to do what she's doing. And then the other thing I have been playing with is this bobbin winder thing that I got last week that I was so happy about. And tech support has worked on it or worked with it to try to get it all set up. And it'll wind plastic bobbins. But it doesn't do anything for my jukies. So we're still debating whether we're going to keep it or send it back and get one that'll wind jukies. And take the purple off that I put on here. I know he's going through rough times. That was why I was curious. His eye surgery is on May 2nd. So, Sandra, does that mean he can't come on until after he has surgery? He's been told to like rest his eyes or something? Yeah, I hope that James manages to work things out with his wife, because that would be tough with what they got, 3 little kids. And Sewing Machines Plus just sent me a notification. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Oh. And where did I drop it to? Onto the floor. I hate when I drop things. All the way to the flow. It's hard to see. Sandra, it's been a few years ago. We had a client when I worked for the attorney who was legally blind, and he had a special computer screen that would enlarge it to like 100 times the size of the letter so that he could be able to read things. And it was the first time I saw it, because I went to their house for something. I was absolutely stunned because it made like an A this big. But he could manage to get through legal documents. That way. That's fairly quiet. Bobbin winder. I'm using it to wind a bobbin for the plastic machine. Jim Bennett was. I do have a grabber, Kathy. And I've got a magnetic one too that just happened to be plastic. Okay, so that's how you turn it off. Probably would seem faster if you were doing something else while it wound a bobbin. A little bit crooked, but I'm sure it would work in the machine with no issues. Hey, Kim, are you feeling any better yet? I hope so. And there's a place to store your bobbins on there. Yes. Nope, you got to push that back down in. So you probably can't store thread in it. I don't know. I'm definitely going to have to look at a bobbin winder that can do juki bobbins. Yeah. Because that was the whole reason I wanted it, was so it could do juki bobbins for me. Because I'm usually needing to go ahead and keep sewing while my juki is winding bobbins. Coffee. Hey, Shirley, how are you today? You do type well for being AFK. Oh, Teresa, I'm so sorry. There's almost nothing worse than everything hurting. So Shirley, I'm waiting on your video for the pineapple block. Oh, Kim, I'm sorry. I do understand the feeling though. There are days when it's all I can do to get up and get a drink. But Shirley, I just went through how I start my pineapple blocks. I didn't really go into how to do it after you get it started. But we got it started. Yeah, 2 1/4. Teresa Louise, did I tell you I did finally get some gloves to sleep in? And they seem to be helping with my hands. Oh, yeah. Those barometric pressure changes stink. The only problem with that tape thing I did is I put it on the wrong side. Ah, lovely. I love it when I screw up. Nobody caught it but me, huh? Uh-oh, Teresa Louise, too much sugar? That's not good. Vicki, I wouldn't call all of us old, but yes, I understand the concept. I was talking in Brandy's live about how I should do lives at 2 a.m. when I'm awake from insomnia. And I said I'd have a target audience because my target audience is, a certain age of ladies, or my average audience, I should say. And we're all awake at 2 or 3 a.m. Your daughter challenged you to take up running at 60. Wow. But anyway, I really thought that, when I wake up at 2 a.m. and I'm hurting and can't go back to sleep, be a great time to do a live. I am doing foundation paper piecing, Shirley, from a specific pattern I found from Generations Quilt Patterns, the pineapple quilt pattern in the 8-inch. But what I'm showing, or what I showed, is how to start the block. And now I can't get the stupid paper off my tape here, because that was the hard part for me. I started 3 blocks before I finally got it. Your daughter runs half marathons? Good for her. There is Ernest. Have you ever heard of Ernestine Shepherd, Lynn? She's well, I think she's 85 now, but she started doing bodybuilding when she was in her 50s, mid 50s. And she's in incredible shape now. She's won quite a few fitness competitions. She walks like 8 miles a day. It has to be the pie's fault, Teresa. Yes, I agree. I agree 100%. Yeah, that's a slightly bigger block, I think, Lois. Was that the one on Ginny Down? One of them I watched was talking about the Jelly Roll strip quilts, and I was like, yeah. Just going to put one on there for now. I watched Eleanor Burns for the ending of the paper pieces of the Triple Irish Chain. And I watched it like 3 times, and I'm sorry it didn't help. I never did get how I was supposed to do it. Oh, Jelly Roll Club. I've never heard of that one. See, this one I'm starting without the needles, but I also sat here and folded all that, or without pinning it in. But this is how I did it the first time, and I ended up with gaps in it. So we're going to see if I can get any better. If I can get them started, I can do the rest of it. Wow. That's awesome, Kim. Supposedly it's great for your heart, but I always keep thinking of Jim Fix, I think was the guy's name. He was like the jogging guru back in the 70s and 80s. And he was like, oh yeah, you'll live forever, blah, blah, blah. And then he had a heart attack and died at 42. The block for 6 different colors of what? Excuse me. Your daughter is tracking your running, Lynn? I guess that's cool. I have the Egg Money book too. I'm not quite sure what you're referring to as for the 3 inches, 6 colors set. She's putting 6 colors in 3 inches of a block. Joyce, I understand the feeling. I couldn't run it. I could walk it. But then I'd be yeah, Kim. I'm working on this one because I want to see how easy that paper comes off at the far end here. Kim, that's a legitimate exercise. And if all you can walk is a few feet, then walk that few feet. Just try to do better the next day. You have to run a mile with your grandson. How old is your grandson? Is he going to expect you to keep up with him? Can't even imagine. I did run track in high school. I'd run 4, 5, 6, 10 miles a day and then walk home, which was like 3 or 4 miles from school. Oh, Brandy, that stinks. All right, so now I need 2 and 5/8. Good morning, Gay. How are you today? He's 6 and can run fast. Well, darn it, Lynn. How you going to keep up? Are you even going to try? Are you just going to let him go at his own pace and you do yours? Hey, Marie, how are you? Trying to make sure you can see what I'm doing. Because maybe I'll show something that I didn't think to tell you about. Definitely tell him to slow down. He may think it's all a race, but yeah, he doesn't need to give grandma a heart attack while he's doing this. So that's done. Now, before I started, I did starch all of my fabric. So when I finger press it, it wants to lay down somewhat. Bye, Lois. Have a good day. Is Brandy, you going to do another live today, Brandy? Later on tonight? That's cool if you are. On this one, I'm putting in 2 pins because I don't want any of that fabric to roll over there. Shirley, this is literally printer paper. It's right off of my printer over there. The pattern that I linked, you can print it right off of your printer. So that's basically what I did. Just double check to make sure that I didn't miss anything there. Brandy, you kind of just got to pick a time and days and do it. Yeah, Marie, I did finally get the idea of this block. It finally made sense to me. But it took me, like you know, 3 tries. You've got a rotating schedule too, Brandy, so that might affect when you can go live. So there's the center of it. Ordinarily, I wouldn't try this until we got to the end, but I kind of want to see how this works, and I don't want to have to piece the whole block. Ooh, Patty. I like. Because that paper just came off like it was intended to, instead of sticking like it did on that other block I did. You guys see that? I'll probably regret taking out that centerpiece to do the rest of this block. But that little bit of double-sided tape worked really well. I do have a glue stick, Shirley. The problem with the glue stick is that center piece wouldn't come loose for me when I was pulling the fabric out, because I had glue stick this down. And see, that paper just isn't coming off. See, it's really hard to peel. So Patty G suggested that I try using that double stick tape that I use whenever I make bags. So that's that right there. Yeah, we ordered a printer from Amazon for really cheap. So thank you, Colleen. I appreciate that. So that's the center of a blue one going. I've got an orange one started, 2 purples, 2 blues, 2 purples, and orange. So yeah. Yay. So that's the way to start those pineapple blocks. Now, my next thing I'm probably going to make is a bag for the pineapple blocks, because that's definitely not going to be something I'm going to finish a lot. The pineapple block wastes a lot of fabric if you cut it too big. Yeah, but if I'm using scraps anyway to make it, I figure 1.5 instead of 1.25 isn't going to waste much right now. Oh, okay. Brandy, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. So, well, Shirley, I'm waiting for you to make it easier for me. I was just trying to figure out how to get that block started. And that was the part I was having a hard time with. And I have the patterns on, or the rulers on order. Like I said, they're coming on a slow boat from China. I think they'll probably be easier, but I wanted to try that pineapple block and see if that works. Your sister gets a gift card, Kay, and uses it for fabric. But yeah, Shirley, if you can make a video that makes the pineapple block easier, all of us will love it. I'm just working on getting the idea down. Kim, where are you at? Are you in the US or Canada? Exactly, Colleen. Get around to it quicker, Shirley. I definitely want to say, I'm all for easier ways to do things. I'm always all for easier ways to do things. But I do want to make, oh yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. They actually have, or used to have, I don't know, it's been a while, a prepaid credit card that you could use, that you put, like, if you know you're going to make some online purchases, you put the money on that card, then you make your purchases so that it doesn't have any opportunity for someone to hack it and take the money away or overspend for you. They used to have them available through a local check cashing place down here. I finished my coffee. Now I'm starting on my drink. Independence, Missouri. That would be fine, Shirley, but we could do a Zoom that goes live if you want it, and then you could teach it. Because that would be a valuable skill for a whole lot of people. Or we could Zoom and you could record it and then put it up that way if you wanted to. I'm always willing to learn something new, especially if it makes something easier. The practical part of my creativity is like, yes, find the cheap and easy way to do it. Yeah. And sometimes you get discounts if you do that, Colleen. If you buy yourself a gift card and then use it at Walmart online. We bought a Brother 3,500 something. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it is a laser printer. It's got a laser printer on it, and you can print from your cell phone. Yeah, Marie, I mean, something, anytime you can. I'm learning how to use Zoom. We'll put it that way. You didn't know that you could record yourself on Zoom? Yeah, Colleen, you can. That's I've been using it whenever I record videos, and you can save those videos to your computer. So if you need to do it in little clips, like if you want to record an intro to a video and then one part of how to do something, then another part, you can save them and then put them into your video editor and manipulate them that way. You can also download photos or upload photos from your video editor or from your computer into your video editor and create a collage that way. Why do you think I've been posting weird little videos? It's because that's how I'm learning things. That's how I learned to do the collage video. And bye, Beverly. You have a good day. Different things. So, yeah. But yes, Shirley, I'm always up for learning something new. That's why I hit everybody's lives, is because I want to see what I can pick up. Always share. So, Becca, I'm weird. Have you looked in the mirror lately, Colleen? Okay, guys, I think it's time for me to say bye as well, because Teresa comes on in about 45 minutes my time. Yeah, there you go, Lynn. And I'm looking forward to seeing that. I also want to do some work today on my Farm Girl vintage blocks before Kathy shoots me. I didn't ask. But yeah, I want to get some work done on my Farm Girl vintage blocks. And I need to make a pouch for my pineapple stuff. And then the next thing I've got to do is pull my Cricut over here onto my desk, which I had cleaned off until this morning. Oh, not 45 minutes. Oh, 2:00. Oh, 2:00 Pacific. Okay, I get it. Anyway, I'm still going to go because I've got a list of stuff to do as long as my arm, and my arms are pretty long. So, and I will see you guys all at Teresa's Live in a bit. And hopefully I'll have some progress to show for it by the time she comes on. So you guys all have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow at noon. And hopefully I'll have lots more stuff to show you. Okay, bye, guys. No, I don't think you're weird, Colleen, not for just putting up videos. Hi, Stephanie. Bye, Stephanie. Y'all all have a great day. Bye. And get my computer to work for us. Moving on to the next channel.